Of course, she puts her head down right as I turn the camera to her. I was just gonna show her to you while the song was ending. Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, Norman, Ghoulish Misfit, and Mako Cam. And yes, I don't know exactly how it works, but I saw a little thing that said you can get Discord rewards if you subscribe during the month of October. So definitely consider doing that. And if any of you have any other info on that, then do tell me. I didn't do a little practice recording before I started, so can y'all hear me? Does everything sound okay? Nobody's talking in the writing group chat, well, in the not so private chat right now, so I'll turn that off for now, but I have it up, so if people talk, I can turn it back on. Little waving bear. Gift a sub, get nitro. Okay, that's what it is. Nice. That is a great deal. You have your volume maxed. Your volume maxed, but you hear me fine. Gotcha. I mean, my mic is almost all the way up. I can turn it truly all the way up. Is that better? Is that preferred? You can barely even see her. Kitty. Here, I can try and sit back so you can see her. Yeah, it's always important to get your volume back. Oh, you can even see my phone. You can hear me. Do you hear? Am I blasting your eardrums out? Also, I'm gonna be quite close. I can move it back a bit, but is it worse when I'm close? Kitty. But while I'm waiting for you guys to answer that, so today we are going to be reading. Today we're going to be reading Carmilla. I'm very happy that we got this opportunity. You're at like 75% volume. You're good. Just louder. Okay, so nobody seems to be complaining. All right. Well, keep me posted. If it's horrifyingly loud, please tell me to turn it down. Yeah, so today we're going to be reading Carmilla, and I'm really happy that I got this opportunity because I kept thinking, I was like, I really want to read Carmilla in October. That would be the perfect time to do it, but I wasn't really sure when to do it. I have been really focused on Dracula in my classical reading because September is so long. It was like, I don't remember if I ever said it, but I might have, but I think it was something like 130 pages for just September. And so I've done 3 streams for September already, and still not done. Still got plenty left. So every time I have time to stream for classical literature, I've just been doing that. And so, like, I wasn't sure if I should take a break from that to read Carmilla one night, if I should like record Carmilla ahead of time or just do it not in October. So even though there might be a sadness that we don't have the normal writing group stream, we can do this. So I'm happy about that, hoping that we will be able to get through the whole book. Much like the day I did the vampire stream, I would like to go actually have dinner with my family, and so that means we're on more of a time crunch than we usually are on the usual writing group streams. I think this one is, I mean, I'd have to look to be sure. I think this is like the same size or similar to the vampire, so hopefully it'll be okay. Alrighty-roo. Now is time to... Oh, now is the time to start reading Carmilla. I don't think that this has an introduction in it or like any sort of explanation. Yeah, I just have prologue. Yeah, it doesn't look like... Yeah, back says conclusion, and in the back of the actual book is not anything. So yeah, I don't have any like official introduction like we did with the vampire, but I know that, and I'm assuming that this is the year. It says 1872. I can zoom in now. Oops. Ah! Oh no. Oh crap. Please no. Please don't do this to me. Sir? Oh no. What did I do? I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did. Did I sever the link? Is it over here? Oh no. I genuinely don't know what I did. I don't want to just like futz with it and make it worse. Okay, let me go over there. Hello, kitty. Okay, the light's not on. Did that work? Oh, phew. Okay. Okay, yeah, kitty. That was scary. Let's try to not do that again. Okay. You've experienced this as an audiobook before. Nice. But yes, I think it was published in 1872, and oh, is it not gonna tell me? It's not gonna tell me, is it? Because I thought... Okay, so I know that this came out before Dracula, but I also feel like Dracula... Let's just look it up before I say anything. I want to take a survey on how helpful the results were. We're on a time crunch. Okay, publication date 26th of May, 1897. Okay, so yes, Dracula was later, but actually not, I guess it's like 20 years, but I thought it would be more like 50 years or 100 years before. And so, yeah, so... this was a quintessential vampire book that was made before Dracula, that was written before Dracula, and yes, it is, as far as I know, the quintessential gay vampire literature, or something to that effect. Yeah, so I have heard, so Ghoulish says, supposed originator of the lesbian vampire trope, but it does kind of use lesbianism as a scary thing. Oh no, she likes girls. Amazing. Yeah, so I've never read this before. I don't know anything about it. The only things I know about Carmilla are those two things, that it is gay vampires before Dracula, and that Carmilla was a character in Castlevania, in the Castlevania Netflix show. I don't know if she's a character in the games too. I would assume that she was, if she was in the books, but I don't remember seeing her in Symphony of the Night or Aria of Sorrow. So yeah, I have dawdled enough, I think. I think it is time to begin, to get started. Wow, it even just says straight up, the first vampire. Wow. Oh, that's small. I think I need to, with your permission, camera, zoom in a little bit more. Okay. If I remember correctly, it's because around this time, a book on Eastern European folklore came out and inspired a lot of romantic writers. What do you mean? What book? I'm curious now. She's been in at least 2 Castlevania games. Gotcha. Which ones? Oh, I need to go to the stream chat over here. Alright. Eddie, hello Eddie. Eddie says, Carmilla's a fun read, though the suspension of disbelief has to be strong when you read the very creative fake names used by said vampire. Carmilla appears in 2 Castlevania games. Yes, gotcha. Circle of the Moon and Super Castlevania. How have I never heard of Super Castlevania? Yeah. That is fair. Yeah, I've only played those 2 I mentioned myself, so very fair. Anywho, let us begin. Carmilla by Sheirdan LeFanu. Prologue. Oh, kitty. Upon a paper attached to the narrative which follows, Dr. Hesselius has written a rather elaborate note, which he accompanies with a reference to his essay on the strange subject which the MS illuminates. It's still seeming small to me. Oh no. That's too much. Go back. That's too much. It's French for the Fanu. What is the Fanu? Okay. This mysterious subject he treats in that essay, with his usual learning and acumen, and with remarkable directness and condensation. It will form but one volume of the series of that extraordinary man's collected papers. Has this author written the other collective papers, or is this the only one we get to see? As I publish the case in this volume, simply to interest the laity, I shall forestall the intelligent lady who relates it in nothing, and after due consideration, I have determined, therefore, to abstain from presenting any precis of the learned doctor's reasoning, or extract from his statement on a subject which he describes as involving, not improbably, some of the profoundest arcana of our dual existence and its intermediates. I was anxious, on discovering this paper, to reopen the correspondence commenced by Dr. Hesselius so many years before with a person so clever and careful as his informant seems to have been. Much to my regret, however, I found that she had died in the interval. She probably could have added little to the narrative which she communicates in the following pages, but so far as I can pronounce such conscientious particularity. Okay, so it's kind of a frame narrative. It's saying, kitty, it's saying that, oh, kitty, Bella, that it's like, oh yes, I found these papers, and the lady who experienced whatever's gonna go down in this book with Carmilla, she related the information, but we know now that she died soon afterwards. Gotcha. And then it's like, so you just like sitting here complimenting the doctor. It's like, wow, he's like so direct, like, wow, awesome. And then is this saying like, oh yes, I'm sure this case will interest the plebeians, like that kind of things? Is that what he means by laity? Oh yes, it will astonish the masses. And then I will forestall the intelligent lady nothing, meaning like I won't stall any longer. I mean, you are stalling enough to write a prologue, but not much to write a long prologue. I don't really get, like, abstain from presenting any precis. Maybe I should look it up. Maybe I should look up what precis means. What you doing, kitty? Abridgment, abstract, condensation, synopsis, a concise summary. Okay, gotcha. So presenting any summary of the learned doctor's reasoning or extraction statement on the subject she describes as arcana. Interesting. All right. Précis. Okay, gotcha. It's French for precise, précis. Nice, nice. There are others. Carmilla is one case of multiple. Dr. Hesselius appears in many of Fanu's pieces. Interesting. Can you send me like the links or at least the titles of the other ones? Because those might be interesting to read. All the other cases and Carmilla are in a collection titled In a Glass Darkly. Interesting. I'm really surprised I didn't see that while I was going to buy Carmilla. Interesting. Saying I won't stall any longer while stalling for longer is peak classic horror literature. Totally. Oh yeah, I guess I can turn on the thank you. I can turn on, well, that will make it a little harder to read, but that's the stream chat. All right, chapter 1, An Early Fright. Yep, I know that name from the Castlevania Netflix show. In Styria, we, though by no means magnificent people, inhabit a castle or schloss. A small income in that part of the world goes a great way. 800 or 900 a year does wonders. Scantily enough, ours would have answered among wealthy people at home. My father's English, and I bear an English name, although I never saw England. But here, in the lonely and primitive place, where everything is so marvelously cheap, I really don't see, however, so much more money would at all materially add to our comforts or even luxuries. Thank you, I was just about to ask that. Styria is in Austria, hence all the German words. Gotcha. I mean, I could try and give everybody a German accent, but I'm not sure if I should. It might be better to just read them in my normal voice and go up and down or whatever. But you guys can vote. Okay. So our first chapter of our beloved vampire book is, wow, everything's so cheap here, so much so we got to buy a castle. And there it is, okay. My father was in an Austrian service and retired upon a pension and his patrimony and purchased this feudal residence and the small estate on which it stands, a bargain. Whatever's comfortable, gotcha. I guess since it is first person, I should be trying to give her a voice. This is the young lady, right, is giving her like a very sweet, gentle, like, nothing can be more picturesque or solitary. Like, kind of like Lucy's voice. Would that work for her? Oh, apparently Bo got up. You wouldn't believe how cheap this castle was, and the only downside was a vampire in the basement. Incredible. Okay, she's similar to Lucy, so yes, perfect. Nothing can be more picturesque or solitary. It stands on a slight eminence in a forest. The road, very old and narrow, passes in front of its drawbridge, never raised in my time, and its moat stocked with perch, and sailed over many swans, and floating on its surface white fleets of water lilies. Oh, those pesky basement vampires. Welcome, Marks. Coming in with a bang. Only if you can be even wafier for Carmilla. Nice. You mean like try and be even sweeter? I'll probably do, we'll see when she shows up, but I'll probably do something like my queenly voice for her. At least that's how she talks in the show. Because I think if I try to, well, we'll see what happens. But I feel like if I tried to go even more so, it would start being like, oh, hello. I don't think that works. Not gonna lie, part of me wants Valley Girl Carmilla. Amazing. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay, so we yeah, that does sound pretty picturesque. We are in a castle in the forest. Great start. Love it. Interesting that, so the drawbridge was never raised, so I guess that means, like, people can come and go. We're not worried about people. We're not worried about being under siege. Now I'm just imagining that basement vampires are a new type of pest. That'd be a great, like, vampire story premise of just like, all right, we need an exterminator. Oh, you got cockroaches in the basement? Worse. Vampires. Oh my god, girl, let me, like, suck your blood. You'll see what I mean when Carmilla needs to be carried back inside from their walk. Interesting. Alright. Yeah, and we've got swans too. Like, yeah, super picturesque. Alright. Over all this, the Schloss shows its many-windowed front, its towers, and its Gothic chapel. What is a Schloss? You've said that word. I'm glad I could make you laugh. Well, when we get to Carmilla, maybe I'll do a poll for what voice to give her. Come on, dictionary. Oh, it just says a castle or palace. It's German for castle or palace. All right. Oh yeah, and you answered right after I saw it. Okay, my mic is going into the red, and that's concerning me, so I'm going to turn it down just a little. Okay. The forest opens in an irregular and very picturesque glade before its gate, and at the right a steep Gothic bridge carries the road over a stream that winds in deep shadow through the wood. I said that this is a very lonely place. Judge whether I say truth. Looking from the hall door towards the road, the forest in which our castle stands extends 15 miles to the front and 12 to the right. The nearest inhabited village is about 7 of your English miles to the left. The nearest inhabited Schloss of any historic associations is the old General Spielsdorf, nearly 20 miles away to the right. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so like the miles, that it's interesting to see like a book set in Europe and using miles in the 1800s. I can't remember. Was it a situation where like people did use the American system before and then everybody was like, we need something like simpler and more universal, so we're going to do the metric system, and America was like, no. Gotcha. Non-spoiler tip for Carmilla's voice. She's basically pretending to be the most innocent person you've ever seen. This one is not regal like the Castlevania one. Gotcha. Everyone had different miles. I can't remember when metric first came into use. I see. So it was miles, but they were all different for everybody. Imperial was the common one before SI units. Yeah, the length of a mile could vary according to the game. Oh my goodness. That is funny now, but I'm sure it was like beyond frustrating at the time, because like people are frustrated today with the metric system versus America's system. But if back then it was like, yeah, King Freddie, you know, he said a mile is this many feet, and King George said a mile's this many feet. That sounds way more annoying. All right. I guess I'll ask, like, I don't know if this is a spoiler question, but like, is there ever a time where Carmilla turns off the charm and she like goes full vampire, or is she just pretending the entire time? And you don't have to tell me if it's a spoiler, but that could inform what voice I give her. That's why we keep calling Napoleon short, because the metric was different and he wasn't actually short. Yeah, he was average height for his time. Gotcha. All right. I have said the nearest inhabited village because there's only 3 miles westward, that is to say in the direction of General Spielsdorf Schloss, a ruined village. With its quaint little church, now roofless, in the aisle of which are the mouldering tombs of the proud family of Karnstein, now extinct, who once owned the equally desolate chateau, which in the thick of the forest overlooks the silent ruins of the town. I wonder if Karnstein has to do with Carmilla, or if it's just because I feel like I've heard that name before, but I don't know where. So I don't know if that's where she's actually from, or if it's unrelated.
Um, Respecting the cause of the desertion of his striking and melancholy spot, there is a legend which I shall relate to you another time. Aww. I was like, I'm ready for the legend. And then she's like, another time. It is spoilers. Okay, gotcha. I must tell you now how very small is the party who constitute the inhabitants of our castle. I don't include servants or those dependents who occupy rooms in the buildings attached to the schloss. Listen and wonder. My father, who is the kindest man on earth, but growing old, and I, at the date of my story, only 19, 8 years have passed since then.
Since when? Since you got to the castle? Since the story you don't want to tell me? Since the Castle Karnstein is now a ruin? 8 years since when? I don't know. Yeah, were feet used really based on the king's foot, or is that just a legend? Good question. Yeah, is that a King Georgian mile or a Queen Victorian mile? Exactly. It's been 8 years since the events of the story. Okay, the story that she will relate at a different time. Gotcha.
I and my father constituted the family at the schloss.
So it's really just, wow, she said it was small, but she doesn't include the servants, so I don't include the servants or those dependents who occupy rooms in the buildings attached to the schloss. Okay, so it's not just them alone, there are servants, there are other people, but they're the whole family. I totally was thinking she'd be like, yeah, my dad, my mom, me, my 3 brothers, that kind of thing. So, yes, she is right, that is a small number.
I and my father constituted the family at the schloss. My mother, a Styrian lady, died in my infancy, but I had a good-natured governess who had been with me from, I might almost say, my infancy.
What do you mean you might almost say? Like, she died in your infancy, you got your governess in your infancy. Sounds like she was with you since your infancy. Why is that almost?
I cannot remember the time when her fat, benign face was not a familiar picture in my memory. I was not expecting to see the word fat there.
If memory serves me well, they were, but since communication was so much different back then, basically each person would just literally measure their own foot as needed. An inch was a thumb's length and so on. Wow, that's nuts. Oh, crazy. And, it makes sense to use literal, foot lengths to measure, it's like, oh, we're gonna walk somewhere. It's this many feet, this many steps, But everybody does have different feet. She probably doesn't know if she was there since the infancy. Gotcha. Yeah, I feel like the repeat of the word infancy in the same sentence is weird, indeed.
This was Madame Peridon, a native of Bern, whose care and good nature now in part supplied to me the loss of my mother, whom I do not even remember. So early I lost her. She made a 3rd at our little dinner party. There's a 4th, Mademoiselle de Lafontaine, a lady such as you term, I believe, a finishing governess. She spoke French and German, Madame Peridon French and broken English, to which my father and I added English, which partly to prevent its becoming a lost language among us, and partly from patriotic motives, we spoke every day.
It's funny to hear anybody talk about English potentially becoming a lost language. I think she just means in their family, but it's still wild.
The consequence was a babble, at which strangers used to laugh, and which I shall make no attempt to reproduce in this narrative. Thank you, I appreciate that. And there were 2 or 3 younger lady friends besides, pretty nearly of my own age, who were occasional visitors for longer or shorter terms, and these visits I sometimes returned.
Okay, so we got, what's the head count? We got a bunch of servants, bunch of dependents in the other little houses. We got this lady, we got her dad, we got the 2 governesses.
Oh, cat.
You didn't pull it out, did you? No, you didn't. Okay.
We got some lady friends. What kinds of lady friends? Cause I know kind of where this is going. How many did she say there were, or did she not say? There were 2 or 3 young lady friends. Gotcha. Okay. These were our regular social resources. But of course, there were chance visits from neighbors of only 5 or 6 leagues distance. My life was, notwithstanding, rather a solitary one, I can assure you. I thought you said there weren't neighbors. I thought you said the most inhabited... Maybe I'm confused. I thought she said that the most inhabited place nearby was a ruin. What did she say? Oh, no. She was saying, like, the nearest inhabited village is about, the nearest inhabited village is about 7 of your English miles to the left. Nearest inhabited Schloss, nearly 20 miles. And then she said, I say inhabited because there's a ruin close by. Okay, a non-inhabited ruin close by. Gotcha. All right. And then it's funny to have people described as social resources. It's like, yeah, I got my governors, I got my friends. These are my social resources. I think I'm gonna make my camera. Oh, that's the wrong thing. I think I'm gonna make my camera a little smaller because I keep having to. Yeah, so little now. Does that look right? A league is about how long it takes to walk within an hour. Gotcha. Can I make my camera bigger horizontally? Not really. So 5 or 6 hour walk. Gotcha. 5 miles is about 17 miles. Thank you. I appreciate this. Oops. So what's... because it was already saying that. Gotcha. Yeah, 5 leagues is about 17 miles. How long is a league? As far as you can walk in an hour. How much is a foot? Just your foot. All right. I do think it's interesting describing like a house of many languages, just describing it straight up as a babel. Again, the things that happen when like Christianity is the dominant religion around, that you can just like make those references willy-nilly. Welcome to Medieval Measurements. Enjoy your stay, as long as you're not expecting standardization. Exactly. Enjoy your stay of indeterminate time. And then, yeah, I believe you. I believe that your life is a solitary one. You don't really need to assure me. Units are arbitrary, always have been. How long is an hour? As long as it takes to walk a league. Nice. Alright. My governance had just so much control over me as you might conjecture such sage persons would have in the case of a rather spoiled girl, whose only parent allowed her pretty nearly her own way in everything. Very fair. The first occurrence in my existence, which produced a terrible impression upon my mind, which in fact never has been effaced, was one of the very early incidents of my life which I can recollect. Some people will think it so trifling that it should not be recorded here. You will see, however, by and by, why I mention it. The nursery, as it was called, though I had it all to myself, was a large room in the upper story of the castle, with a steep oak roof. I can't have been more than 6 years old when one night I awoke, and looking round the room from my bed, failed to see the nursery maid. Neither was my nurse there, and I thought myself alone. I was not frightened, for I was one of those happy children who are studiously kept in ignorance of ghost stories, of fairy tales, and of all such lore that makes us cover up our heads when the door cracks suddenly, or the flicker of an expiring candle makes the shadow of a bedpost dance upon the wall, nearer to our faces. I was vexed and insulted at finding myself, as I conceived, neglected, and I began to whimper, preparatory to a hearty bout of roaring, when to my surprise I saw a solemn but very pretty face looking at me from the side of the bed. It was that of a young lady who was kneeling, with her hands under the coverlet. I looked at her with a kind of pleased wonder, and ceased whimpering. She caressed me with her hands, and lay down beside me on the bed, and drew me towards her, smiling. I felt immediately delightfully soothed, and fell asleep again. I was wakened by a sensation as if 2 needles ran into my breast very deep at the same moment, and I cried loudly. The lady started back, with her eyes fixed upon me, and then slipped down upon the floor, and as I thought, hid herself under the bed. I was hoping I'd finish the paragraph before the ad hit. Nice. All right. Well, I don't want to talk about it until the ad is over, and I would show the cat, but the camera protested earlier, and so I'm scared about moving the camera, and Bo is gone. Let's see. You want to see? Oh no. Well, maybe I moved it anyways.
Aw, she's looking at it. She's looking at it all cute.
Don't know how to show her. I guess I could show you some cute pictures in the Vanitas book. While we're waiting, just why not? Why not? That looks cool with the way that my camera does a little warbliness.
Oh, that's cool.
That's a big one. Of course, I can't read any of the Japanese. I mean, I can sound out the hiragana, but not much else. So I'm kind of assuming a lot of these are like early sketches of the characters. Or like figure out the eyes and stuff. Yeah. Because like you'll see later in the book that he'll look more like himself. Vanitas looks more like what we know him as. But he looks a little different here. I like these two though. That looks interesting. It looks like she gave him glasses at first. He reminds me of one of the characters in or at least this one reminds me of one of the characters in Crimson Shell. Yep, this does say Vanitas. Okay, so I was right. Cute blushy. Bella's like, you're moving around too much. I don't know. And apparently he had an umbrella in the past.
Kitty cat.
Aha! You're back. We can continue the reading. Now there's fluff over it. There's a whole kitty back there now. Okay. So this is interesting. So she's saying, she said, the first occurrence in my existence. So the very first occurrence of her existence is Carmilla hanging out. And, like, if it's the first occurrence in her existence that she remembers, I imagine she's very small. Maybe, like, 5? I don't know if it's, like, ever specified, but it could be earlier than 5. Could be later than 5, could be earlier. But that's kind of a ballpark. And, like, don't really know how I feel about nomming on a 5-year-old, especially because, like, you know, I have heard about this book and hear that Carmilla is, like, into her in a romantic and sexual way. I'm not really cool with her being into a 5-year-old in that way. So, I don't know about that. I guess it could just be that she's kind of interested in her, watching out for her, wants something to nom on. So maybe she's not, like, actually interested in her in that way yet. Alright. And then, interesting that she's like, oh, they didn't tell me, like, ghost stories and stuff like that. Can I put it on you, kitty? Kind of. And then I really like that. I was vexed and insulted at finding myself, as I conceived, neglected, and I began to whimper, preparatory to a hearty bout of roaring. Love that. Alright. Depending on, you know, her intentions, it's kind of nice that she's, like, comforting her and helping her and being with her when the nursemaid isn't there. If she did something to the nursemaid just so she could get a snack on a little babu, that's not so sweet. So I don't really know what's going on there. Alright. Oh yeah, so you guys didn't get to hear the last sentence. The lady started back, and with eyes fixed on me, with her eyes fixed on me, and then slipped down upon the floor, and, as I thought, hid herself under the bed. So we actually have the monster hiding beneath the bed. I was now for the first time frightened, and I yelled with all my might and main. Nurse, nursery maid, housekeeper, all came running in, and hearing my story, they made light of it. Oh! So she can talk. I guess at 5 she could talk, but yeah, I guess I was kind of imagining like a baby, but no, she is at the very least old enough to talk. They made light of it, soothing me all they could meanwhile. But child as I was, I could perceive that their faces were pale with an unwonted look of anxiety, and I saw them look under the bed, and about the room, and peep under tables, and pluck open cupboards, and the housekeeper whispered to the nurse, "Lay your hand along that hollow in the bed. Someone did lie there, and so sure as you did not, the place is still warm." Hello, Bitzer. Welcome, welcome. Useless fact, League may be Celtic in origin and adopted by the Romans. Gotcha. Aw, sorry you're not feeling well, Bitzer. Indeed, we are reading Carmilla today. They really do make beds just the perfect height for monsters to hide. Nice. I mean, I guess they make beds the perfect height for humans to hide because she's, you know, in human form. Alright. And then, interesting that they're like, I don't believe you. I totally believe her, check. And then that would be kind of terrifying of like a little kid's like,
there was a lady and then she like bit me and then she went under the bed.
It's like, okay, sweetie, that's weird. And then you feel under the bed and it's like, somebody did lie there. Also, Carmilla has the honor of both being her first memory and her first memory of ever being scared. Quite the honor. At least I'm assuming it's Carmilla. I don't know who else it would be. The housekeeper, did I already read that? No, I don't think I did. No, I remember the nursery maid petting me and all three examining my chest, where I told them I felt the puncture, and pronouncing that there was no sign visible that such a thing had happened to me. That's curious. Oh, yeah, any such thing had happened to me. The housekeeper and the 2 other servants who were in charge of the nursery remained sitting up all night, and from that time a servant always sat up in the nursery till I was about 14. Yes, you have got some good nursemaids, because we know from Dracula that when you don't have somebody to sit up with you, you get nommed on by vampires. So these are some good nursemaids you've got. How high should I make the bottom of this bed? I don't know. Lay on the floor. Amazing. Yeah, considering our previous talk about medieval units, that's believable. Oh, it's creepy as you checking under the bed for monsters to find your child cowering and mouthing, "That's not me." Oh, you mean like if you looked under the bed and you saw your child and then you looked up to see your child mouthing, "That is not me." That would be pretty creepy. I was very nervous for a long time after this. A doctor was called in. He was pallid and elderly. How well I remember his long saturnine face, slightly pitted with smallpox, and his chestnut wig. For a good while, every second day, he came and gave me medicine, which of course I hated. So fair. Such a kid thing. Like, yeah, he gave me medicine, which of course I hated. I see the first child is a mimic. Gotcha. Saturnine, cool word. Don't know what it means. Yeah, I assume, like, I know aquiline, but I don't know what saturnine means. And then interesting that it's like, so, like, is it saying that he got smallpox and so his face is still kind of, like, pitted from that? That's interesting. And I don't know if chestnut wig means an actual wig or just, like, his hair. The morning after I saw this apparition, I was in a state of terror and could not bear to be left alone, daylight though it was, for a moment. I remember my father coming up and standing at the bedside and talking cheerfully and asking the nurse a number of questions and laughing very heartily at one of the answers and patting me on the shoulder and kissing me and telling me not to be frightened, that it was nothing but a dream and could not hurt me. But I was not comforted, for I knew the visit of the strange woman was not a dream, and I was awfully frightened. Very fair on both accounts. Like, I totally get the dad thinking it was a dream, especially because they couldn't find the puncture marks, but totally get her knowing, yeah, it's real and it's scary. Saturnine means gloomy. Gloomy, melancholic. Gotcha. Okay, where did that go? A long Saturnine face. Okay, so he's like, he has a long face. He has a gloomy face. Gotcha. Alright. Kitty. I was a little consoled by the nursery maids assuring me that it was she who had come and looked at me and lain down beside me in the bed, and that I must have been half dreaming not to have known her face. But this, though supported by the nurse, did not quite satisfy me. I remembered in the course of the day a venerable old man in a black cassock coming into the room with the nurse and the housekeeper, and talking a little to them and very kindly to me. His face was very sweet and gentle, and he told me they were going to pray and join my hands together, and desired me to say softly which they were praying. Lord, hear all good prayers for us, for Jesus' sake. I think these were the very words, for I often repeated them to myself, and my nurse used for years to make me say them in my prayers. It's just a little too big. Like, I could zoom out, but it'll make it harder to read. But as is, either like it's like that and this edge is cut off, or it's like that and this edge is cut off. Now I want to own a cassock even though I'm not a priest. Can you send me a picture of a cassock? Alright. Yeah, so I guess for Jesus' sake is there in Jesus' name, but I kind of like for Jesus' sake a little more. I think it's a little more accurate. But anyways, I remembered so well the thoughtful, sweet face of the white-haired old man in his black cassock as he stood in the rude, lofty brown room, with the clumsy furniture of a fashion 300 years old about him, and the scanty light entering its shadowy atmosphere through a small lattice. He kneeled, and the three appeared to me a long time. What? Am I missing stuff? He kneeled, the three women with him, and he prayed aloud with an earnest, quavering voice for what appeared to me a long time.
I forget all my life preceding that event, and for some time after, it is all obscure also. But the scenes I have just described stand out vivid as the isolated pictures of the phantasmagoria surrounded by darkness. Hey, that's one of the few times I've seen phantasmagoria actually used in a story, just genuinely. I don't know what rude means in that context. The clumsy furniture of a fashion 300 years old about him. I don't know what that means. Is he saying, like, his clothes were, like, 300 years... Like, the fashion 300 years ago? Or is she talking about actual furniture in the room? What is that? Also, I don't think I said, I do like the image of just her and her dad and the servants living in a castle. Like, that is a cute image. That is a great setting for a story. I do really like that. Rude is basic. Gotcha. Kitty has evolved into improvised reading stand. Yes, indeed. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I have seen those. Gotcha. I mean, I guess I can show you. I can show the stream for VOD purposes. Is it? No, it's this one. But yeah, that's... Oh, it didn't make it bigger. But yeah, that's a cassock. All right. Alrighty do. I think it's because it looks like something a 1500 priest or 1600 pilgrim would wear. Gotcha. Okay, so the fashion is like 300 years old. That's the situation here. Let me see if I can center myself more thoroughly over the book. Okay, can you see me okay? I mean, I'm glowing, but... All right. A guest. Chapter 2. I'm now going to tell you something so strange that it will require all your faith. Oh no. Now there's something shining in my eyes. It will require all your faith in my veracity to believe my story. It is not only true, nevertheless, but true of which I have been an eyewitness. I might have to move that thing. Let's see if I can get through this page. Oh, you can even kind of see it. Oh, my eyes. It was a sweet summer evening, and my father asked me, as he sometimes did, to take a little ramble with him along that beautiful forest vista which I have mentioned as lying in front of the Schloss. Okay. What does vista mean? I just thought of it as just a forest. But I think a vista is more of like an open area, I guess. General Spielsdorf cannot come to us so soon as I had hoped, said my father, as we pursued our walk. He was to have paid us a visit of some weeks, and we had expected his arrival next day. He was to have brought with him a young lady, his niece and ward, Mademoiselle Reinsfeld. Is that right? Reinfeld. Okay. Whom I had never seen, but whom I had heard described as a very charming girl, and in whose society I had promised myself many happy days. I was more disappointed than a young lady living in a town or a bustling neighborhood can possibly imagine. This visit and the new acquaintance it promised had furnished my daydream for many weeks. I just realized it's not the book that's the problem, it's looking over here that's the problem. I could try and read it here, though there is a chance that it might not be as visible on the screen. Let's see. And how soon does he come? I asked. Not till autumn. Not for 2 months, I dare say, he answered. I am very glad now, dear, that you never knew Mademoiselle Reinfeld. And why? I asked, both mortified and curious. Because the poor young lady is dead, he replied. I quite forgot. I had not told you, but you were not in the room when I received the General's letter this evening. Oh, that's it. Okay. I was very much shocked. General Spielsdorf had mentioned in his first letter 6 or 7 weeks before that she was not so well as he would wish her, but there was nothing to suggest the remotest suspicion of danger. "Here is the general's letter," he said, handing it to me. "I'm afraid he is in great affliction. The letter appears to me to have been written very nearly in distraction." That's fair. I mean, if your daughter just died, it's fair to write distractedly. Interesting. So it's like, we have a dude that's gonna visit us, like, and his daughter. Oh, cool, I'm excited. Well, don't be, because she's dead. Is that what just happened? I guess he's saying the dude's still gonna come, but not the lady. I'm curious if Carmilla had something to do with her death or not. Vista, a pleasing view, especially when seen through a long, narrow opening. Interesting. Okay, a pleasing view works, but long, narrow opening is... Yeah, a long, narrow opening is beyond oddly specific. I agree. I can't believe how distracted it was just because his daughter died. Exactly. Exactly. Don't be because she's sick. Don't be excited because she's sick. Is that it? Okay. Yeah, I think a window counts for that definition. I mean, I don't know. A long, narrow opening makes me think of, like, a telescope or, like, a tiny hole in something. Because I wouldn't really call windows long or... I mean, you could call them long, like, vertically, but not long, like, horizontally. Wait, she is dead. Never mind. I'm distracted. Are you distracted by her death, too? Alright. Okie dokie. Okay, I think I'll try to read it in here, maybe. We sat down on a rude bench under a group of magnificent lime trees. There, the sun was setting with all its melancholy splendor behind the sylvan horizon, and the stream that flows beside our home, that passes under the steep old bridge I have mentioned, wound through wound. Is that wound or wound? I think it's wound. Wound through many a group of noble trees, almost at our feet, reflecting in its current the fading crimson of the sky. General Spielsdorf's letter was so extraordinary, so vehement, and in some places so self-contradictory, that I read it twice over. The second time aloud to my father, was still unable to account for it, except by supposing that grief had unsettled his mind. Why are y'all surprised that grief settled his mind? That's a thing that happens, y'all. Hold on a sec. Oh yeah, I mean, windows in medieval castles were narrow and long vertically rather than being wide, like house windows, to avoid arrows coming in. That makes sense, and I don't think I knew that's why they were long. That's really interesting. Alright. It said, "I've lost my darling daughter, for as much as I loved her, during the last days of dear Bertha's illness, I was not able to write to you." Oh, I guess this is just... Is this just the whole letter? Yeah, okay, it is. Alright, maybe I'll give him an actual voice. I have lost my darling daughter, for as such I loved her. During the last days of dear Bertha's illness, I was not able to write to you. Before then, I had no idea of her danger. I have lost her, and now learn all too late. She died in the peace of innocence, and in the glorious hope of a blessed futurity. The fiend who betrayed our infatuated hospitality has done it all. I thought I was receiving into my house innocence, gaiety, a charming companion for my lost Bertha. Heavens, what a fool I have been. Yep, sounds like Carmilla did have something to do with it. I thank God my child died without a suspicion of the cause of her sufferings. She is gone without so much as conjecturing the nature of her illness, and the accursed passion of the agent of all this misery. I devote my remaining days to tracking and extinguishing a monster. I am told I may hope to accomplish my righteous and merciful purpose at present. I am told I may hope to accomplish my righteous and merciful purpose. At present, there is scarcely a gleam of light to guide me. I curse my conceited incredulity, my despicable affectation of superiority, my blindness, my obstinacy, all too late. I cannot write or talk collectedly now. I am distracted, so soon as I shall have a little recovered. I mean to devote myself for a time to inquiry, which may possibly lead me as far as Vienna. Sometime in the autumn, 2 months hence, or earlier if I live, I will see you. That is, if you permit me. I will then tell you all that I scarce dare to put upon paper now. Farewell. Pray for me, dear friend.
That seemed pretty coherent to me.
Oh. Oops, wrong way. Is that?
That's still where it was before, isn't it? Because I realized if I'm gonna read it over here, then I can just zoom out, and it's not as big of a problem. Despicable affectation of superiority has such a nice ring to it. Indeed, it does. Narrator, that's weird. Anywho, for us, it was a great loss. For them, it was Tuesday. Who's the us and them? Oh, maybe mortality rates were so high it was a regular occurrence. Yeah, that's a good point, yeah. But yeah, like, he seemed pretty coherent. He's just like, hey, my daughter died. A monster did it and I let her into my home. I'm gonna kill her. I might die in the process. If I don't die, I'll see you. Like, pretty straightforward to me. Honestly, the drama, the general experience is a sign he needs therapy. I mean, everybody needs therapy, but very true. Yeah, exactly. He didn't flower up his language for 3 pages. Exactly, very true. Alright. Well, we know they don't. Is it because, like, they're like, what a crazy loon! He thinks a monster killed his daughter. But that doesn't mean he's not, like, coherent. Because she's saying she, like, read it multiple times. Because she's like, I don't have a clue what he's saying. It's so confusing. He's so distracted. And then it's like, he's saying a monster killed his daughter. Regardless if you believe him, it's not confusing. Alright.
In these terms ended this strange letter. Though I had never seen Bertha Reinsfeld, my eyes filled with tears at the sudden intelligence. I was startled as well as profoundly disappointed.
Fair thoughts, fair reactions.
The sun had now set, and it was twilight by the time I had returned the general's letter to my father. It was a soft, clear evening, and we loitered, speculating upon the possible meanings of the violent and incoherent sentences which I had just been reading.
They're neither violent nor incoherent.
We had nearly a mile to walk before reaching the road that passes the Schloss in front, and by that time the moon was shining brightly. Brilliantly. Oh my goodness. By that time, the moon was shining brilliantly. At the drawbridge, we met Madame Perrodon and Mademoiselle de La Fontaine, who had come out without their bonnets to enjoy the exquisite moonlight. We heard their voices gabbling in animated dialogue as we approached. We joined them at the drawbridge and turned about to admire with them the beautiful scene.
Gabbling is a great word. I love that. Everyone is saying it was a disease. Okay, so you're saying that, like, everybody else, the information they got from other people is like, oh, she died of a disease. And then her father is like, oh my gosh, it was a monster. And then they're like, what a weirdo. What a weirdo. Which, I mean, is fair that they, like, don't believe him. Like I said, there's just a difference between, oh, that's really weird, I don't believe you, and wow, like, that's so confusing and incoherent. So, like, you could not believe him, and he could still be coherent.
The glade through which we had just walked lay before us. Actually, maybe it worked better over there. At our left, the narrow road wound away under clumps of lordly trees, and was lost to sight amid the thickening forest. At the right, the same road crosses the steep and picturesque bridge, near which stands a ruined tower which once guarded that pass. And beyond the bridge, an abrupt eminence rises, covered with trees, and showing in the shadows some grey ivy-clustered rocks. Over the sward and low grounds, a thin film of mist was stealing like smoke, marking the distances with a transparent veil. And here and there we could see the river faintly flashing the moonlight. So this is all setting stuff, very beautiful. But I realized as I was reading, like, it feels like a lot of authors are one of two people. Either you're a Jane Austen, and you describe nothing of the setting, or you're a Tolkien, and you describe every notch on every tree. And it feels like this author is heading more into the Tolkien territory and spending lots of time. We've only had like 3 pages, and I feel like at least a page of that was just describing the setting. Of course, I like it. Like, I like getting a picture of the setting, but it's just funny. I think coherent here means rational. Gotcha. Okay, so it's alright. That does make more sense. No softer, sweeter scene could... My computer went black for a second. Yeah, okay. No softer, sweeter scene could be imagined. The news I had just heard made it melancholy, but nothing could disturb its character of profound serenity and the enchanted glory and vagueness of the prospect. I was gonna say, to be fair, I would probably call someone incoherent if they insisted their ill kid died thanks to Mothman. But that might be because the Portuguese translation of incoherent is a bit more open-ended. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm trying to try to describe how I was thinking of incoherent. Like, you know what? Let's look it up and discuss it from there. Not as bad as Hawthorne and the Scarlet Letter. Does he go on and on about the setting? Ooh, yeah, okay. Without logical or meaningful connection, disjointed rambling. Yeah, so that's more what I was thinking of. Like, it's not disjointed. It's not like a word vomit on the page. Like, it's actually, like, it's 3 paragraphs. They're very well thought out, well structured. Like, it's not like disjointed ramblings to me. Lacking a physical cohesion, loose. Yeah, so like it didn't feel like it lacked cohesion. Lacking harmony of elements, lacking congruity of parts. Yeah, so that was definitely the way that my brain was going, is that it's like, oh, this is super disjointed. Nothing connects. Like, one thought doesn't connect to the next. Like, it's super weird. I can't follow the plot. And it's like, that's not what's going on here. Like, what he's talking about is weird, but he's not telling it in a disjointed way. And so that's why I had complaints about that word. But I get the idea that it means more of like, oh, it's not logical. It's not rational, what he's talking about. All right. Oh, and it's different. So first definition on Google is of spoken or written language expressed in an incomprehensible or confusing way, unclear. Yeah, exactly. So it's not expressed in an unclear way. It's just a wacky thing he's expressing. All right. My father, who enjoyed the picturesque, and I stood looking in silence over the expanse beneath us. The 2 good governesses, standing a little way behind us, discoursed upon the scene, and were eloquent upon the moon. Madame Perrodon was fat, middle-aged, and romantic, and talked and sighed poetically. Mademoiselle de La Fontaine In right of her father, who is a German, assumed to be psychological, metaphysical, and something of a mystic, now declared that when the moon shone with a light so intense, it was well known that it indicated a special spiritual activity. The effect of the full moon in such a state of brilliancy was manifold. It acted on dreams. It acted on lunacy. It acted on nervous people. It had marvelous physical influences connected with life. Mademoiselle related that her cousin, who was mate of a merchant ship, having taken a nap on deck on such a night, laying on his back, with his face full in the light of the moon, had wakened after a dream of an old woman clawing him by the cheek, with his features horribly drawn to one side, and his countenance had never quite recovered its equilibrium. So an old lady walked up to him as he slept and, like, dragged his face the wrong way. Wild. Also, fat, middle-aged, and a romantic is quite a way to describe somebody. What do they mean by romantic at this time? What is the definition of that word at this particular time? Turbo Granny. The characters waxing poetically about the full moon and on the nature of lunacy while living at a castle that they bought for cheap and which was located not too far from an uninhabited ruins. Again, not ominous at all. Exactly. All right.
The moon this night,
She said.
is full of idyllic and magnetic influence. And see, when you look behind you at the front of the schloss, how all its windows flash and twinkle with that silvery splendor, as if unseen hands had lighted up the rooms to receive fairy guests.
There are indolent styles of the spirits in which, indisposed to talk ourselves, the talk of others is pleasant to our listless ears. And I gazed on, pleased with the tinkle of the ladies' conversations. And I can't decide if I like or hate tinkle being used to describe a conversation, because it's kind of like twinkle, and so it's kind of like, oh yes, the light twinkling melody of conversation, but it's also like the word piss. The word piss of the conversation. I have got into one of my moping moods tonight, said my father, after a silence, and quoting Shakespeare, whom, by way of keeping up our English, he used to read aloud. He said, "In truth, I know not why I am so sad. It wearies me. You say it wearies you, but how I got it, came by it. I forget the rest, but I feel as if some great misfortune were hanging over us. I suppose the poor general's afflicted letter has had something to do with it." Also, I realized I'm giving him the German accent, but he's from England, so maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Maybe I should not be giving him the English. Tinkle is supposed to be an onomatopoeia. Yeah, I know, but it's just an onomatopoeia for two very different things. Tinkling is a good word for a sound, which probably also describes the sound of peeing, and there's the connections. Exactly. It's like, yeah, it's a good word for this light tinkling sound. Unfortunately, peeing also makes a tinkling sound. Yeah, the dad is English. Gotcha. Okay, I will have to stop giving him the German accent then. All right. Do any of you know what Shakespeare quote that is? What Shakespeare play that's from? At this moment, the unwanted sound of a carriage wheels and many hoofs up the road arrested our attention. Oh, okay. I was like, why is there an in there? There isn't one. The unwanted sound of carriage wheels and many hoofs upon the road arrested our attention. They seemed to be approaching from the high ground, overlooking the bridge, and very soon the equipage emerged from that point. 2 horsemen first crossed the bridge, then came a carriage drawn by 4 horses, and 2 men rode behind. The horsemen are walking before the horses? how would they keep up? Or is it like men on horses, not like the people who attend to the horses, but the people on the horses? That would work then. Not well versed in Shakespeare, that's fair. It makes me think of like something Jacques would say in As You Like It? Is that the one? Is it As You Like It or Much Ado About Nothing? Oh no. But whatever, the play that has the All the World's at Stage one in it. It sounds like something he'd say, but I also think that Shakespeare has quite a few sad boys, Hamlet also included. I think I'd know if it was Hamlet, but it has been a couple years since I read it, so maybe not. But anyway, so I can think of a couple sad boys who might have said it, but I have not read all of Shakespeare's works, so it could be a different sad boy. Or a sad girl. Alright. It seemed to be the traveling carriage of a person of rank, and we were all immediately absorbed in watching that very unusual spectacle. It became, in a few moments, greatly more interesting, for just as the carriage had passed the summit... where'd it go? The summit of the steep ridge, one of the leaders, taking Fright, communicated his panic to the rest, and after a plunge or two, the whole team broke into a wild gallop together, and dashing between the horsemen who rode in front, came thundering along the road towards us with the speed of a hurricane. The excitement of the scene was made more painful by the clear, long-drawn screams of a female voice from the carriage window. We all advanced in curiosity and horror, me rather in silence, the rest with various ejaculations of terror. Our suspense did not last long. Just before you reached the castle drawbridge on the route they were coming, there stands by the roadside a magnificent lime tree. On the other stands an ancient stone cross, at sight of which the horses, now going at a pace that was perfectly frightful, swerved so as to bring the wheel over the projecting roots of the tree. I knew it was coming. I covered my eyes, unable to see it out, and turned my head away. At the same moment, I heard a cry from my lady friends, who had gone on a little. Your maids, or were your lady friends there that you didn't mention? Curiosity opened my eyes, and I saw a scene of utter confusion. 2 of the horses were on the ground. The carriage lay upon its side with 2 wheels in the air. The men were busy removing the traces, and a lady with a commanding air and figure had got out and stood with clasped hands, raising the handkerchief that was in them every now and then to her eyes. Through the carriage door was now lifted a young lady, who appeared to be lifeless. My dear old father was already beside the elder lady, with his hat in his hand, evidently tendering his aid and the resources of his schloss. The lady did not appear to hear him, or to have eyes for anything but the slender girl who was being placed against the slope of the bank. Interesting. I'm guessing this is what Mako was talking about. And then it makes sense that they're swerving from the cross, that hurts them. Though I'm curious, what's the range on crosses hurting vampires? Because I feel like it just being there, like it's not touching their skin or anything like that. I guess, yeah, maybe even just seeing it is a problem for them. I'm not sure. Uh-oh, it's lagging. Oh no. Oh yeah, I see the bars are red. Well, I can pause for a moment because it's come back every other time. So I'm hoping it comes back again. Test. I see your test. One is now smaller than the others. I guess that's the one I moved around the other day. Oh, woof. Is that... now you got the test. Full minute or 2 behind the live stream and lagging. So, yeah. Uh-oh. Okay, it's green.
How's everybody doing? Is it better? Say bat if it's better. Or I guess just say bat when you hear me say. Uh-oh, now it's red again. Crap. And now it's green but with one bar off. And now it's red. It's choppy on Norman's end. I could try to, I'm gonna close Twitch and try to catch up. I could try to exit the stream and then come back. You got caught up, but then you got a network error on Twitch. Hello? Bat. Oh yeah, that is far. That is far. I'm seeing green again. Are we back? Okay, Val says we're not lagging anymore. Okay, let's wait a moment to see if it's actually truly better. You know, it'd be kind of interesting if I had a camera on the back of this chair and then I had the book in my lap and I like read it like this. It's not like, okay, no, you already said that. You already said it's not lagging anymore. And it's red again. The good news is refreshing the page always gets me caught up with the stream. The bad news is the lag returns for me within the first minute. Okay, I'm gonna try and stop and start again. I'll wait for you guys to see that. Hello? Can anybody see me, hear me? There's an ad incoming. I'll try and snooze it. Maybe I shouldn't have though. Am I back? I'm not seeing anybody. It's green. It's looking green. It says no dropped frames. Hello? Am I talking into the void? You can see my fingers casting shadows. If anyone's here. Oh, hello? It's yellow. It was a full-on X. Okay, now it's green. Hello. And the wheel spins again. That could indeed be a prompt. Twitch was being a butt and then I reloaded. Okay. Are things sounding okay now? Am I all laggy and gross? It's green. Okay, the networker is out. Please. The networker is gone. There's a little bit of lag, but not nearly as much as before. We can start again. We can start hoping again. The ad is just relentless. I guess I just need to let it go. It's very annoying though. Like, I wish there was a way that could be like, don't do an ad for another hour. um, so, so I have the camera in my lap because I don't want to get a headache. I get headaches really easily, and I get them a lot, like, based on my shoulders and neck having tension. And turning to either read the book or read it on the screen has potential to put a crick in my neck. And so I think if I read it like this and have it, like I was saying before, oh, wouldn't it be neat if I could put a camera behind me? And then I was like, I could just do that now. It's gonna look ugly, but I can do it. So yeah, I think that's what we're gonna at least attempt and see how it goes. Like, does it still look readable and everything? And like, yeah, I'm gonna have this in front of my head, but like, I don't think I can. Yeah, I can't move it away nor change my height. Okay, everybody's saying we're back. That is wonderful to hear. Very much appreciate that. Maybe I can show the cat this time. I'll wait for the ad to show up, but let's make the flesh horse. I always do that. Let's make stop it. The flesh horse big enough to stomp on the Lag Goblins. But yes. Well, the flesh horse. He stomps on the Lag Goblins. Okay. There is the cat. Asleep on the desk. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, it's red again. Why is it red again? Please, no. It was green for so long. Why are you red again? I don't like that. I just made a Twitch account today, but now I see Norman has a blue color. Do Twitch usernames change color? They can. You can set them, I think, by hitting the little... Oh, maybe you can't hear me. But you can set them by hitting the little chat identity thing. Otherwise, you'll just be like any random color. Yeah, so... That's adorable, yes. Okay, so what's going on? And now it's yellow. The ad's over. It's X, it's yellow, it's green. What's going on? Say spider if you're back. Okay, spider, that's good. Am I stuttering, lagging in any other way? Yellow, red. Gosh darn it. I can reset my internet. That's another thing I can attempt. I know, right? So annoying. Hello, hello? Can anybody hear me? Well, I guess I'll wait and see if anybody can hear me before clarifying. Yeah. Yeah, but that is the context. A couple of years ago, there was a stream that had multiple hours of lag, and so I was finishing late in the night. It was horrifying. I see it's red again. Yep, that is the specific term we decided. Are we back? It's red and saying it's dropped frames. So I can't tell if we are back. I turned off the ad. Was that when that happened? It might have been. It might have been when I yeah, actually, you know what? You're right. I think that the initial solution was to just do my desktop and that's it. And that's how I fixed it. I snoozed it for 5 minutes. I wish you could snooze it for longer. Say butterfly if you can hear me. All right. Butterfly, Moth, and Wheel, a children's book. Yes, I'm very glad that we did the poll first.
Oh, cute kitty.
Are we back? Hello. Oh, I'll wait for a second as it's green, but yep, it went yellow. Considering, yeah, and then it went red. Aww. I appreciate you looking forward to it. And buffering again, yeah. right. What's too late? No, wait. Green again. Yeah. So I'm sorry that this